All right. How's everybody doing? Outstanding. All right. Um, yeah. Yeah. Look, feels good to win, and I thought our guys. I thought they rose to the occasion yesterday. I know that the Rams are dealing with a lot of injury issues, um, much like us, but yet I thought you know, going up against the defending world champions, and I thought our guys went out there and played and competed and won a game. So that was obviously encouraging, and we had a lot of guys that haven't played prominent roles for us that stepped up and played well. So
DA, what stood out the most about the pass rush, considering, no Cam, no Marcus, lose Peyton early?
yeah, look, I thought our guys stayed after it, and I thought as the game wore on, I thought it got you know. I thought it continued to improve, and I thought we continued to get some pressure on the quarterback. And I think we've been able to get pressure on the quarterback a lot lately. I know we didn't start off the season pressuring the quarterback as well, but I think now we're getting to a point where we're getting some pretty good pressure on the quarterback and affecting the quarterback.
Andy and Taysom both said things along the lines of like, why not try these plays? Why not throw the entire playbook at them? Is that kind of where it's willing to take risks now to see whether it works?
Well, I mean, you put a plan together that you think was going to work, and I think that's what we did in this game plan. I don't think we looked at it any differently and said, oh, well, we got to just throw caution into the wind and try a bunch of crap and see if it works. I mean, we put a plan together that we felt like could be effective, and I think overall it was.
And I know earlier in the season, maybe he was bothered by that ankle injury when he was coming back. Have you seen Paulson kind of?
Yeah, I think he's kind of coming back a little bit more towards what we saw in training camp. I mean, look, he's one of the guys that really has kind of battled through this thing. Really even when he came back in London, he certainly wasn't 100% at that point in time, but he came back and battled through, and I think each week you kind of see him getting back into the groove a little bit.
Between him and Alante on the outside, or just kind of holding things down until Marshawn's able to come back?
Yeah, look, I think both those guys have done a good job, and like I said, I guess it was earlier in the week or late last week. These are opportunities for some of these guys that maybe younger players, maybe guys that haven't had as prominent a role. It's an opportunity for them to go out and show what they can do, and I think we've had some guys that have done that. I look at Alante Taylor defensively. I look at Caden Ellis, some of the things that he's done, defensively. You look at our utilization of Rashid Shaheed a little bit more. This past week, Landon Young played a significant role on the offensive line, as did Calvin Throckmorton. And so some guys that Josh Andrews, some guys that haven't had, maybe huge roles, have gotten some playing time, gotten some experience, and in this particular game really stepped up for us.
Is that kind of the case with Jarvis too? Like, is he still kind of battling back through the ankle the same way?
Yeah, and I thought Jarvis played well yesterday. I thought that was probably as good as he's. I think he looked more healthy this week than he did the previous week, and so I'm sure that's going to be something that we're going to have to manage as we go throughout the rest of the season. But trying to keep him healthy and get him out there on Sundays, I think is going to be important for us.
Caden was saying one of the things you wanted to see from football early was playing in space. How has he grown there?
Yeah, I think he's gotten better. I think he's gotten better at playing in space, and that was something that we talked about, an area that he needed to improve on. That was something that was specifically discussed in the offseason, and I think that's an area that he has improved. So, look, we all got a lot of different areas that we've got to be better at, and the trick is to just continually, try to work on the things that you can to improve your game, and If you do that, then when you get called upon and you get opportunities, you go out and produce and, and help the team.
I know, sorry, my voice is kind of shot. I know the San Francisco 49ers played tonight, but just looking at them from what you've seen, does it look like a lot like the teams you've coached against in recent years since Jimmy's still at quarterback and Shanahan's got a lot of the same pieces?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, I think their team's been built on being a tough, physical team. Really, both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. I think that's what they are. I think they're a physical team. I think they do a really good job schematically with the things that they do. Particularly on offense. I think defensively they've got a really good front that causes a lot of challenges, across the line of scrimmage, both in the run game and the pass game. And I think they play extremely hard, and they play very well disciplined, and they make it tough. So yeah, they're a good football team, and that's why they've been one of the teams that, when you look up at the end, they've kind of been there.
And so I don't know how much time you get to interact with Juwan Johnson early in his career, but how much you've seen him grow as a player, specifically these last couple of years.
Yeah, I think he's making some significant growth. I think the biggest growth we've seen, this year really comes in what he's done, in terms of blocking. I think he's really improved himself in that aspect. He's an athletic route runner. I think there's still some intricacies to the routes that he can still improve on, but certainly that's kind of been the primary deal for him in terms of what our initial view of him was his ability to be a pass catcher. And I think he's got that. I think he's improved on that. But where he's really gotten a lot better is his ability to block, in the run game.
What are your thoughts when the 49ers were the team that acquired Christian McCaffrey and how he fit in a scheme that you already respected him? Is that one of the trickier places more challenging places for him to land?
Yeah. Well, look, I think Kyle does a great job, in terms of formulating a game plan, putting pieces in position to be able to make plays. I think, when you look at what they do, they use a lot of different players in a lot of different areas. You'll look up and you'll see Deebo Samuel lined up at the running back position, and the running back may be split out wide and looks like a wide receiver. So I think they do a really nice job of, they've got a good scheme, but I think they do a really nice job of utilizing their personnel.
It's probably a dumb question, but why is that more challenging that Deebo Samuel's the running back and Christian McCaffrey's the receiver? I mean, what stress does that put on the defense?
Well, first of all, you got to identify what is he. Is he a runner? Is he a receiver? Are you gonna match the running back up with a linebacker or safety? And then what happens if he comes out of the backfield and now is he a receiver or is he a running back? I think those are all the challenges that you face when you're dealing with stuff like that.
We talked a lot about you guys wanting to really stay stubborn with the run game, make the run game work, let that sort of dictate, your offense this year. How much of that approach going into the year was looking at what you had at offensive line and running back and even quarterback, or how much of that is sort of the generic? You're a defensive-minded coach, and that's the style of football you want.
Yeah, I don't know that I would ever say stubborn's the right word. I think, look, it's been my history. It's been my history here that our best teams have been able to run the ball and run the ball effectively. I don't think there's a lot of teams that, can just solely rely on the passing game and the passing game alone to be successful offensively. And I think there has to be some sort of a balance, to where you're keeping the defense, off guard a little bit. It's hard to block these pass rushers in this league, much less if they know that you're throwing it every down. So I think philosophically, you want to be able to be balanced. Be able to run the ball, be able to throw the football. I don't think you can ever be one-dimensional in any aspect and think that you're going to, have sustained success in our league. I think that's challenging. So, but yeah, that's a core philosophy that we have. And I think when you kind of look at some of the better teams in this league, a lot of them, have the ability to be balanced.
Is that, do you need to be successful, or anything, like, do you need to be averaging like 5 yards a clip for the other stuff to work, or is it just have the threat of it there and be able to?
Well, look, yeah, I mean, the more successful you are running it, the more it's going to open up some other things,
I didn't wanna
I mean,
ask a stupid question, it sounds like a stupid question.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, we'd love to average 7 or 8 yards a carry, but yeah, I think you have to have the ability to at least keep the defense honest with your ability to run the football, and so yeah, I think that's important.
What was the thinking in particular on that one drive where it was Andy, Taysom, like where they switch every other play for an entire drive?
Yeah, I don't think we went into the series saying we're going to switch every single play. I think that's just how the situation played out and the play calls that we liked in those situations. So, look, I thought Pete did a nice job of changing some things up and keeping things, keeping the defense off balance a little bit. And, I think that's something that we have in Taysom where we can kind of do some of those things.
And as James said on Friday that he feels like he lost his job due to injury after being told in London that wouldn't happen. Did you tell him that the job was his whenever?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to get into those discussions. We're really focused on, look, we won a game last night or yesterday afternoon. We're focused on moving forward and getting ready for San Francisco.
He was saying maybe it's an understood policy that players don't lose their job.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into those discussions.
How would you evaluate the offense on third down yesterday?
Well, I think there was a couple of, plays that we kind of left out there on the table that really would have ended up making it a pretty successful third down day. I think we had the initial throw there to Trout that, initially caught it, and then, the DB kind of came in and kind of knocked it loose a little bit, and by the time he regained possession, it was short of the sticks. So, that was an opportunity that we felt like we potentially could have gotten a first down. I think there was another one later in the game that, we had a chance to convert on, and we didn't. But I think it was improved from the previous couple of weeks, and I think it's still an area that we got to continue to work on.
When we talk about player development, I think oftentimes it's perceived as taking a player from good to great. But in the NFL, it feels like it's often taking a guy that's already great and helping make him greater, or even into the conversation of elite. Where does Chris Olave rank there, and how do you help take a player from as polished as he is to taking another step?
Yeah, well, look, I would say this: there's no complete project. Every one of us at some point, we can get better at something. And look, obviously, the better the play, the shorter that menu of things are that they really have to improve on. So it's really about identifying those things that they can improve on, and helping them develop in those areas. But I would also say this: I would say that you have on your football team with 53 and 16 on the practice squad, there's a vast array of, where you're developing players. Some are really young, green, that have a lot of room for growth, and some are those really good veteran players that, you're trying to just fine tune some of the, the finer points.
Are you trying to, as a coaching staff, do you try to balance kind of how wide that spectrum is, or how many you have that have to go from green to great, and things like that? Like this time allocation become a part of that at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day, but I think getting young players and developing them is critical to sustain, having success in an organization. For a couple of reasons. One is when you bring them in young, you're kind of able to train them the way that you want them to be trained in your philosophy and your culture, doing the techniques that you want them to do. Sometimes you get some of these veteran players and you know, you're trying to kind of allow them to use some of the things that allowed them to be successful, but yet trying to get it to fit into and conform to some of the things that we believe in. So I think there's a, you know, look, if I could coach all pros, I'd, you know, I mean, that makes your job a little bit easier, but part of the job is, you know, taking guys, and at the end of the day, what you're trying to do, everybody really kind of has a ceiling as to, you know, what they're capable of doing, and how good they can actually be. And I think our job as coaches is to try to get them to hit their head against that ceiling as many times as we possibly can.
How's Peyton Turner doing? It looks unfortunate injury after.
Yeah, it was really kind of after the play, and he was, you know, he made a heck of a play and was trying to get up, and they landed on his ankle, so he's got an ankle sprain. I don't think it's going to be anything that's, you know, overly significant, but yet I think he's probably going to be in that day-to-day, week-to-week type of situation.
Is there anyone who's been out that you already know for sure will be back?
Well, look, I'm not going to get into exactly everybody that could be back, but I am hopeful that there's a significant number of guys that, you know, have been out that may be available to us this week.
I don't know if you remember this one in particular, but what was your assessment of that PBU Alontae Taylor made, I think, early in the game? It seemed like a play that is kind of hard to coach. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about. It looked like almost.
It was a great play on a third down.
Yeah, it would have been a first
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
for sure.
great play. You know, he did it just like you're coached to do it. You know, you're in a position there. You're in a little bit of a catch-up mode. You know, receivers' hands go up. We're playing through the hands, being violent through the hands, and I thought he did I thought it was a heck of a play.
It probably goes into, I think, what you were saying like a week or two ago about choosing your spots to be aggressive but not too aggressive.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you know, in that situation, you have to be aggressive in those situations if you want to get the ball out. So, yeah, I thought that was a really good play, and I thought we had some good pressure on that play too.
I know that you all only had, I think, 2 penalties and both on special teams, and you had talked about getting back to fundamentals and tackling even this late in the season. Is just the way you practiced, or, I mean, do you attribute that to anything other than?
You know what? I mean, I think obviously some of it has to be, you know, just accounted for and just what you emphasize. But I thought our tackling was really good in this game. There was a couple that, you know, I thought we could have been better on, but I thought overall, our tackling was pretty good in this game. You know, I thought our fundamentals on both sides of the ball were pretty good in this game. And I've said this before, I think, you know, a lot of times penalties are a result of, you know, utilizing, you know, poor fundamentals or technique, and then you get caught in a bad position, and, you know, things like that happen. So, yeah, I thought it was a well officiated game, and I thought it was a pretty clean game.
I know, like in the fan world and on TV and social media and stuff, you know, people see 3-7 and even 4-7, and they think like Rome is burning. But like every time you talk to the players, they're complimentary of you, and nobody seems to have finger pointing, or it seems sincere when they talk about the buy-in. Is that because you've been here, because they're veterans, because just what do you attribute that to, I guess?
I think, number one, I think it's attributable to the players in the locker room. You know, everybody faces adversity at some point in time, whether it be life or whether it be in the game of football. Like, everybody battles through adversity, and how you respond to it says a lot about, you know, who you are as an individual. And I think we have those people in our organization. I think we have them on our coaching staff. I think we have them in our locker room. So I've never questioned whether or not this team was going to go out there and fight. That's never been a question. And you know, I don't know that we've always executed as well as we'd like, and so therefore we probably hadn't gotten as good of results as we would like. But there's no quitting this team. This team's going to continue to fight and battle and try to give ourselves the best chance to win games. And so that's what we'll keep doing as we go forward.
Could you speak a little bit to the contribution Hodges and his work with the linebackers?
Yeah, look, I think, again, it's good to see when you have some young guys, step up and make some plays. And so I think he's done a good job with those guys. Pete Warner's a guy that missed a significant amount of time in training camp, and here he goes in the first game in Atlanta and, has a caused fumble and makes a lot of plays. And, same thing with Caden. Caden's kind of been in a backup role for the most part, and Pete goes down, Caden steps up, and, I feel like we've continued to, be able to operate defensively with Caden to play in the way that he is. So yeah, I think that's part of coaching, and certainly, you got to give the players some credit too.
Do you feel like there's anything unique that Coach Hodges brings to the table? I mean, obviously, there's something unique that he brings to the table, but is there, kind of a extra piece of, Cody Burns brings everybody up to speak about their personal experience and share amongst them. Is there something?
Yeah, look, I think you would find in a lot of these position rooms that, part of the, secret to coaching is not necessarily always the X's and O's. A lot of it is developing the relationship with these players. And I think our coaches do a pretty good job of developing those relationships, and I think that probably gets back to, what we were talking earlier about just, the guys trusting in the process and trusting that we'll end up figuring some things out. So I think that's probably the uniqueness, like with all our coaches, is just developing those relationships with the guys. All right, thanks.